If Sir Elton John, the man, the myth, the legend, can't keep the Broadway doors open, people are saying, who can? Is Broadway truly dying? Hey, welcome to my channel. I'm Kelly. I'm a New York City-based creative and artist. So I was hearing so much discourse online about Tammy Faye on Broadway, Tammy Faye the musical. So you know what? I saw it myself. I was, unfortunately, one of the few audiences who are going to get to see it.
The musical has music from Elton John with lyrics from Jake Shears of the band The Scissor Sisters. The book is by James Graham and direction is from Rupert Gold, two Olivier Award winners. It opened in the newly renovated Palace Theatre. The theater was beautiful, but definitely couldn't have been cheap to rent out.
So for context, Tammy Faye the musical opened at the Almeida Theatre on the West End in London in 2022, and it was a smash hit, got predominantly great reviews, and the leading actress, Katie Braben, actually ended up receiving an Olivier Award, which, if you do not know, that is essentially the Tonys of the UK for her performance as Tammy Faye. What exactly happened when it opened on Broadway and then announced its closing after 4 days after such success in London? It's unusual, is it not? We're going to unpack that. So I actually came into this show not knowing anything about Tammy Faye. She's not really my generation. So this musical follows the televangelist, Tammy Faye, or Tammy Faye Baker, as some may know her.
The 70s and 80s queen of Christian TV founded her show, the PTL Club, aka the Praise the Lord Club, alongside her husband, Jim Baker.
The show opens with the projection of Tammy Faye's eyes with her very colorful, very over-the-top eye makeup, and then as the show begins, the eyes begin to cry. The set opens and it's pretty minimalist. It's more of those like technological sets, which immediately, I am not always the biggest fan of let's not make a set, let's just make it like technological with projections and lighting and sound. However, I do think that this show pulled it off very well. She was a TV star. Everything is TV themed. The score by Elton John is pop meeting gospel music. The lighting was very colorful and beautiful. The costumes were very colorful. It felt very 70s. At intermission, I noticed that there was a crowd of people surrounding someone. Like, you know when you just like get the sense that there's someone important there? And then I look to the left and it's Andrew Reynolds, the very man who starred in it in the West End and was announced to be the male lead, playing Mr. Baker on Broadway, but didn't do it. Andrew Reynolds at the Tony Awards said, quote, "Unfortunately, we got into a situation where we couldn't quite find terms that made everyone happy, which is very disappointing, which is normally why they don't announce an actor before the contract." So my friend and I were like, okay, let's see if we can just like, casually bump into him, no big deal. So we kind of like take a little walk in his general vicinity, but I did end up feeling kind of bad because there was like a group of people surrounding him, trying to talk to him. It's kind of like seeing Mickey Mouse at Disney World. He's a famous Broadway actor sitting in the front of a Broadway show that he was supposed to be in. So instead of playing Jim Baker in the Broadway production, it is played by his very good friend, Christian Borle. And you know what? I think that Andrew Reynolds was being a very good sport about the whole situation. He could have been like, oh, the show's closing, probably because I'm not in it. But he was in the front, having a good time, cheering his friends on, and snaps to him, honestly. We were walking out and I was like, hi, I just want to let you know Gutenberg was the funniest show I've ever seen. And then he was like, thank you. So overall, pretty nice guy. I think he did expect to go to a Broadway show like that. He's Mickey Mouse in Disney World. I mean, it's just what it is. If this show was good for anything, it was giving Katie Braben her Broadway debut after being a big star in the West End, She absolutely killed it. She delivered. She was crying. She was belting. She deserves a Tony nom. Don't know if she's gonna get a Tony nomination, but she definitely deserves one. The cast also had a really talented ensemble. There were a lot of female soloists that just completely boots the house down, blew me away. Do I think that Tammy Faye deserves all the negative criticism? No. But everyone is also entitled to their own opinion. I think maybe they're exaggerating a little bit to get a little bit more of a reader's attention. The whole show felt like a fever dream. It felt like I was tripping on something. But I had fun. It was fun to look at. Was it the most emotionally life-changing show? No. It was about loving each other. Let's love one another. There were definitely times where I laughed out loud. Where do I think this production went wrong? This is not a show for a general audience. Some critics were complaining that Tammy Faye wasn't displayed in a truthful way or in the way that they remembered. I personally went into it not knowing anything about Tammy Faye. And now I want to know more. Now I want to watch the movie. If you're looking at it from a truthful perspective, maybe it's not the most accurate. There was a lot of political satire about the Reagan era thrown in there, and I think perhaps the American audience has had enough of politics. It just wasn't the correct timing, but I don't think your conservative uncle is going to like it. It's not a show for everyone. It's a show for the girls and the gays. I don't think they should have gone to the Palace Theater, the newly renovated Palace Theater. If they had gone with an off-Broadway theater or a smaller Broadway theater, I think the show could have done better. First of all, they have to make the tickets super expensive in order to make a profit, because it probably costs so much money to rent out that place. We have to remember, on the West End, Tammy Faye the musical was given a short, limited run, small, intimate theater. And it was also a lot less expensive to buy tickets.
The Palace Theater is prime Broadway real estate. You usually walk a block or two from Times Square to get to a show, but no, Tammy Faye is pretty much directly in Times Square. Now, what do I have to say about the state of Broadway?
The Notebook, Water for Elephants, Hills of California, Back to the Future. So many shows are closing right now. People are starting to get worried. Is this the end of Broadway? To answer your question, I don't think it's the end of Broadway, but I do think it's a changing point for Broadway, where they have to realize that it has to be a little bit more affordable. I don't know how they're going to do it, maybe by opening up streaming services.
Let's not forget that Elton John has already won 2 Tonys for the music he wrote in The Lion King and in Aida. And he's currently working on writing the music for the Devil Wears Prada musical in the West End. So he's going to be okay, guys. Most artists who have a long-standing career, like Elton John does, have some projects that don't do as well as others. It's how it happens. There's no sure thing in entertainment. If you've stuck around this long, thank you so much for watching. My name is Kelly and I make videos every week. Hope you have a wonderful day or evening.